Hello, good morning. My name is Boma Dakoro Keke, and I'm super excited. Thank you so much for letting me into your space. Could never thank you enough. All right, and as usual, I'll just jump into the story and the real life lesson he has. So, this one had to do with a little boy I had noticed sells every fruit in season. Okay. Now the first day I met him, I noticed him. Yes, I wondered why he wasn't in school. So I asked him. I was drawn to him. So I asked him, "Why are you not in school?" And he says to me, "Ma'am, I go to school, but it's just that I have to assist my mom with this." And of course, that touched me. Okay, so going forward, like I said, he gets to sell every fruit in season. Okay, now on this particular day, I noticed that he came close to. Usually, he used to stand by the road, but this time around, because of the partial lockdown and all of that, he came close to a store where I usually get groceries from. So while I was about walking into the store, he got my attention. He was like, "Good afternoon, ma'am." I'm like, "Oh, you're here?" He says, "Yes, ma'am." I'm like, "Okay." He said, "I'll be waiting for you." I'm like, "Okay, it's not a problem." So I got into the store, got what I wanted, and I came out. When I came out, he showed me what he had. He had mangoes this time around. And yeah, I love mangoes. But the mangoes weren't looking so appealing, you know. Well, yeah, somehow I just had to buy the mangoes because I felt, looking at that child, it was about 4 p.m. His eyes were looking sunken, it was almost like he'd not had anything, maybe just the mangoes. So I had to buy the mangoes. Long story short. So I got the mangoes and I got home. Yeah. I wasn't expecting anything, wonderful or, you know, about the mangoes, but surprisingly, when I took a bite, it was yummy. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. That made me return another visit. So when I got into, I wanted to use the store, and he got my attention again. I'm like, okay, not a problem. I'll get some mangoes because this time around I looked forward to getting the mangoes. Okay, so on this particular day, I noticed there was another young lad that showed up in his stead. So I'm like, hey, I know who I want to get mangoes from. Definitely not you. And I noticed he was standing aloof. And I'm like, come on. And he was like, no, ma'am, I can't come. I'm like, what is really going on? So I noticed a resemblance between the other lad that was standing and himself. And I'm like, is this your brother? He says, yes, ma'am. Just go ahead, buy from him. I'd actually made, like good sales today, and he's not made anything much. So he encouraged me to get from his brother. I'm like, okay, let me see what you got. So he placed the mangoes. I tried to sell it, but I was just kind of still drawn to him. I'm like, just still get your own mangoes because he still had mangoes, okay? So I had him get his own tray of mangoes. I'm like, okay, you know what? We're gonna do a win-win here. I'll buy from your brother and I'll also buy from you. And they seemed okay with it. So I did that. So when I was done buying, of course, I bought more from his other brother because he had told me his other brother hadn't made sales, throughout that day. So when I finished buying, I bought more from his brother and just a little from him. And I got to put the mangoes in the car. I was about leaving. Surprisingly, he was the one that walked up to me to say, thank you, ma. It wasn't like I was expecting thank you, okay? But he came back to say thank you. Now, at that point, I was really touched. I was really touched because for me, it was like, yeah, it's good to say thank you, but your other brother, yeah, didn't even come to say thank you. And I got more from him. And you were the same one that encouraged me to get from your other brother. And that one just continued, as in he was even looking for the next buyer, you know. So that attitude of gratitude struck me. And that was the take home lesson I took from that experience. So, for us as individuals, gratitude is what we need, is the attitude we need for this season. Okay, I understand that so many people have gone down, you know, marriages broken, um, people wondering how they can get back on their feet. You know, the world has changed, yes, but to get us to our next level, the attitude of gratitude, it's what will keep us afloat. Because come to think of it, guess what? When he came back to say thank you, there was something he did to me. He left something indelible inside of me. So there's nothing that will make me go to that store, yeah, and not look out for that child. In fact, I'm also preparing something for him, maybe to assist him with school. These are my plans. Yeah, he's not aware of it, but it was his attitude of gratitude, you know, that left something indelible on the inside of me. So I just want to urge us today, okay, you might feel down, you might feel, okay, not knowing where to start. You might just not just be happy with life, but if you could just switch to the attitude of gratitude, it just might turn things around for you like very swiftly. Okay, I just thought to share. And if you do love the video, give it a thumbs up. I love you all. Stay blessed.